how the son of El Chapo duped drug-cartel Kingpin El Mayo Zambada and turned himself in. Joaquín Guzmán López wanted to avoid what he feared would be a violent end to his drug-trafficking career. Follow Buzztown Times because we keep you informed. Mexico City El Chapo's son wanted to turn himself in. Joaquín Guzmán López was the financial brains behind the Sinaloa drug cartel that he and his three brothers had inherited from their father, Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, who was captured in 2016. The Mexican criminal group was responsible for sending billions of dollars worth of fentanyl across the U.S. border, feeding a national addiction to a synthetic opioid that has ravaged communities across America. Federal agents doubted the offer was serious when Guzmán López first made it. Then he upped the ante. He would work with the U.S. authorities to capture Ismael El Mayo Zambada, a 76-year-old Don who had founded the Sinaloa cartel with El Chapo, said current and former U.S. And Mexican officials, law enforcement, found the offer even more dubious and questioned whether he would deliver on his promise. Then, on Thursday, Zambada joined Guzmán López on a flight to have a look at land and clandestine airstrips in northern Mexico, according to people familiar with the operation. But instead, Guzmán López had secretly agreed with U.S. officials to touch down at an airport near El Paso, Texas, these people said. Upon landing, U.S. officials took both men into custody. It was one of the most important arrests of a Mexican drug lord in the past 4 decades. Homeland Security investigations led the case in conjunction with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Zambada's attorney declared his client not guilty at the El Paso federal court on Friday. Guzmán López wanted to avoid what he feared would be a violent end to his drug trafficking career, according to a U.S. official, and Oscar Hagelsieb, a former senior HZ agent in the border city of El Paso, Texas, familiar with the operation. Young cartel family members don't necessarily want the fear and stress of leading a cartel, he said. They know what comes with being part of the family and being part of the family and being part of the cartel, and that's violence and chaos. Guzmán López's attorney declined to comment. Hagelsieb said he thinks Guzmán López is cooperating in exchange for a lesser sentence and a chance to enjoy his drug trafficking spoils while he is still young. Over the past decade, the Chapados had gained notoriety in the U.S. as they funneled millions of fentanyl pills across the southwest border. You see, a little-known U.S. law enforcement agency was helping to dismantle their network, former and current U.S. officials said the U.S. had placed a $5 million bounty on the head of Guzmán López and each of his brothers. Last year, Mexican Special Forces captured Guzmán López's brother Ovidio in a violent raid with intelligence provided by the U.S. In the attack, Black Hawk helicopters with mounted guns strafed his compound in a town north of Culiacán, pushing back Ovidio's inner security detail. By the time he was captured, about 100 gunmen were dead, as well as 10 Mexican soldiers. And Mexican officials said Guzmán López and Zambada are two of the most notorious leaders of the Sinaloa cartel, one of the deadliest enterprises in the world. President Biden said Friday, "Too many of our citizens have lost their lives to the scourge of fentanyl." The Mexican government didn't participate in that detention or surrender, said Mexico's Security Minister Rosa Isela Rodriguez. The government had been informed of the event by the U.S. Embassy, she said, at a news conference Friday. Mexico asked for and received photographs and fingerprints of the two men confirming their identities. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador was notified of the arrests on Thursday afternoon. Rodriguez, who said there were 4 outstanding warrants for Zambada, repeatedly underlined the close cooperation between the U.S. and Mexican governments on law enforcement matters. She said that Mexican authorities thought that a Cessna aircraft that took off from Hermosillo, the capital of northern Sonora State, flew Guzmán López and Zambada to the U.S. She identified an American pilot as having flown the plane. But the pilot, identified by Mexican officials as Larry Curtis Parker, told the Wall Street Journal that his Cessna was mistakenly singled out because it was parked near a different aircraft in Hermosillo. He said that he routinely flies to Hermosillo for hunting and fishing and that he flew back this week by himself to an airport near El Paso and Santa Teresa. NM News footage suggests a larger twin-engine Beechcraft King Air might have shuttled the 2 suspects back to the U.S. A government spokesman declined to comment. Stay with us for more stories. It's Buzztown Times.